I don't know that it's news that can be processed. We're all in shock. We were in shock yesterday when we found out at the beginning of practice, and everybody just stopped in their tracks and basically sat down on the floor in disbelief, and nobody said a word because there's no words to describe what everybody was feeling, and everybody just sort of wandered off and went home. We didn't know what to do, and today we got on the plane and just had a workout, and just still just in absolute shock about the news.
Kind of stay away from the coverage and read all of
I haven't read much of anything, nor do I want to. It's just too raw, and for me, the image that keeps coming back to my head is the footage of Kobe and his daughter at the Laker game about a month ago, when she's asking him questions and he's pointing things out, and she was obviously so enamored with the game, and then you just think about how beautiful that scene was and how many incredible times they had ahead of them, those two. And I understand she was a hell of a player, and to think about all those times together that would have happened, it should have happened, and then obviously Vanessa and their daughters and all the families who are affected from the people aboard the helicopter. The whole thing is just devastating, and it still doesn't even seem real.
Kobe's orbit was so large. I mean, Mike coached him, D'Lo played with him. There was lots of them in LA Times. It just doesn't really feel personal.
Yeah, he bridged a lot of gaps with our organization. Bob knew him as basically a client. I knew him as a competitor. When I was with the Spurs, we played the Lakers several times in the playoffs. Late in my career, early in his career, I did 1 million of their games when I worked in television, and you think about our players. He was both a mentor and a contemporary of Steph and Draymond, and then all these young guys. Kobe was the guy for them. Probably Kobe and LeBron were the two guys that they just watched and admired, just like the previous generation. It was Michael Jordan. So if you think about our organization, every coach directly and indirectly impacted, and that's why it has hit so hard, because of what Kobe has meant to the entire basketball world, to everybody really, whether you're a fan or a player or a coach. He was one of the giants in the history of the game.
What do you think tomorrow will be like, it being the first NBA game in his hometown?
It's going to be emotional. It'll be difficult to play. We're already in communication with the Sixers regarding ideas to commemorate Kobe's life. So we'll figure that part out, but it won't make the game any easier. I'm sure the fans here will be very emotional, given that this is his backyard. And the other thing that I can't get out of my mind is, when a guy like Kobe, somebody that competitive, when they're in the middle of their career, for me anyway, I when I think of people like that, I think, post-career could go one of two ways. Either it's going to be really tough, to step away from the game, or it's going to be kind of liberating. And watching Kobe from afar the last couple of years, it looked like he was liberated. 20 years of fighting with that kind of emotion and that kind of competitive desire night after night after night. And he earned the right to stop fighting. And you looked at him, you saw him, he looked so vibrant, so healthy, so happy. He had all kinds of interests. He had this beautiful family, and he looked so at peace. And that's what I'm thinking of today, just how much he had ahead of him, and how much he had to offer. And I don't know.
Having played against him and broadcast on those games, is there a moment or interaction or anything with him that stands out to you at all?
It's a little bit like, when I played in Chicago, people would say, can you describe one moment with Michael Jordan? There's not one moment, there's a million of them, and that's the point, is that Michael Jordan brought it every single night, and that's what Kobe did. He brought it every single night, never took a game off, and did things that were superhuman, even at the NBA level, in a league full of these incredible athletes. He stood out, but it was his competitive fire and passion that separated him, and that was there every single night. So as a competitor, as an opponent, you feared him. You knew that he could single-handedly beat you any night. As a broadcaster, you couldn't wait to do his games because you knew you were going to see a performance. And as a fan, you knew you were going to get your price of admission. And so there's no one moment. There's all of those moments, and they lasted for 20 years.
This is kind of like unprecedented. I mean, you've been around Chicago for a while. It's like one of maybe the saddest days.
I think so. The only thing that I can compare is, I was in my second or third year in the league when it was announced that Magic Johnson had the HIV virus, and there was a similar sort of shock because at that time we all thought that meant he was going to die within a year. Thank God, Magic has gone on to live a wonderful life, and but that same feeling we had back then is what we had yesterday. Just you can't process it, you can't understand it, it makes no sense. And I think as far as the NBA is concerned, maybe the closest in terms of someone actually dying, Drazen Petrovic dying in the car accident in, I want to say, 92 at the time, was just an enormous shock to the league. But these things are so rare, and with Kobe, Petrovic was an all-star and a Hall of Fame player. Kobe was, one of the all-time greats and in the prime of his life, and so the shock is tenfold.
See this outpouring of grief and how many people are touched by this. Are there resources that you guys have to help players with their emotions? And
We do.
gravity of all this?
Yeah, we have some resources that we have provided to our players and coaches and management, you offer what you can, and then you push forward. But you try to talk to people. D'Angelo played with Kobe for a year, and Mike Brown coached him. Steph considered him a close friend and mentor and somebody he idolized. And so all those guys are really hurting, just like everybody, but maybe especially them. And so there's only so much you can do, but trying to talk about it, trying to offer what we can is about the most we can do.
Today is Sixers call the state before practice, sat, talk about it, and more. Were you guys able to do that? I know you were traveling today.
Not yet. We will tomorrow. When it happened yesterday, it was it was so shocking that everybody just went home. And today we got on the plane and landed, and it's late, and so tomorrow we're going to have a meeting in the middle of the day, and that'll be our opportunity to talk. And I think that's an important aspect to this. It's a difficult one, and something that everybody has to address in their own way. Thank you.